I was like crying, I was at the rooftop, like thinking whether I should actually jump down or not. Hi, my name is Sharvesh. I'm 20 years old and I'm currently working part-time. I think it's very difficult to pinpoint and say what exactly depression is, because I feel like everyone who has gone through it goes through different things. But I guess for myself, I could say depression is when you sit at home and you can't get out of bed and you don't understand what's the reason, when you can't turn to anybody else around you, your family members, your friends. You feel alone even though you're surrounded by people. Found out that my partner was cheating on me and I was very close to committing suicide at one point in time earlier this year. I decided to just admit myself to IMH, so I drove down. Personally, I don't think it was that helpful because they just give you this form and they ask you to tick how you're feeling. So have you tried committing suicide, or have you written a letter to yourself or to your family explaining what you're going to do? Or have you thought about, jumping down a building or cutting yourself? There wasn't any sort of specific help. There was only oh yeah, you're going through this. Do you want medication? Yeah, okay. I was on lorazepam for anxiety. It kind of just slows down your heart rate. You feel a bit more chill. But after that wears off, you feel anxious again immediately. And you've got a lot of side effects like gaining weight, mood swings, And I was already going through bulimia at one point in time. So the whole idea of gaining weight was not something that I wanted to. So I would always skip medication. It's very easy to actually abuse the medication they're actually getting, which is not that great. Please don't do that. Yeah. I think that was a major catalyst for me to want to go and find out what was actually happening. But since I was 13, I was dealing with an eating disorder. I was extremely bullied in school because of the color of my skin. I was in an art school, you see, when I was 13. And everyone pinpoints every single thing you do. The first day I went to school, they were like, why are you wearing cheap shoes? I think everything builds up. When I found out that my partner was cheating on me, I was like, okay, I feel like I don't have a point in living. But I think I've, overcome that, hopefully. I'm someone who keeps a lot of my feelings to myself, unless I am getting extremely wasted and then everything just verbal vomit, everything just comes out. Something that I've realized that there for me are my family and my closest friends. And I've realized after whatever happened with me and my partner, the first person to be there for me was my mom. Even though we never had a really strong relationship or a very healthy relationship, I'd say. And then after that were my closest friends from school, from LaSalle, everyone understood what was going on and no one would pressure me to talk more, or they just let me be. But they were always there, physically and emotionally. With my family, they found out the night I walked into my partner cheating on me. I was literally a ball of mess. I was crying, I was at the rooftop, thinking whether I should actually jump down or not. I called my mom and then she picked up and I was crying on the phone. I told her, okay, meet me at IMH. I really just want to go somewhere. I come from an Indian family, so everyone is what are feelings, no such thing. You can deal with it. Men don't cry. It's bullshit, honestly. I told my mom and she was very supportive. A lot of my friends have gone through depression or bulimia, anorexia and all that, so they kind of understood where I was coming from. My mom was cheated on before, and my mom also tried to commit suicide at one point in time in her life, which I only found out after I told her about what happened. I think that also helped me to even have a better relationship with my mom and to see that someone is actually there looking out for me, yeah. I realized that you just need to surround yourself with really positive people, or people that you enjoy being with, and not to take everything for granted. I realized that there are people around you that do care. You just have to know who they are. Yeah, the hardest times are when I'm alone, because I talk to myself a lot. When I can just be in my room and I can just overthink, and that can just give me an anxiety attack. Everyone that I told about what happened, no one has actually questioned me. They've never said, oh, depression is nothing, just deal with it, blah, blah. And that's all that matters. To realize that there are people around you who care. Never too late to actually get help, because there's this stigma in Singapore and in Asia that people think that mental disorders are a bad thing. We need to understand that it's extremely real, just like how when, you know, if you've got a physical injury, you go to the doctor, but no one talks about like going to see like a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist when you're not really feeling well. You know, your mental health is like extremely important. It's not equal in Singapore. Everyone's like, oh, physical health, and no one really talks about your mental health. I think there's always going to be a part of me that will be dealing with it, but I can say that I'm much happier right now. I've got a clearer mind. I know what I'm doing with my life. I've got an aim. I've got certain things that I want to do. You know, like I'm going to school next year, and I'm filming a TV show now, and there are good things happening in my life, and that kind of motivates me to be better and want to be better and want to be happier. Yeah.
It is subjective when one says that they're feeling upset or one says they're feeling fine, and how honest they are about it as well. Yes, I think there is definitely room for, whether you want to call it pushing yourself and trying to keep going even though you're feeling down. It's also about recognizing triggers, right? I mean, maybe one is going through a really difficult time at work. Maybe it's audit period, or maybe, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty in the company. So if you can put it in context, then yes, I mean, we all know what it's like to feel a bit down. Maybe it could be one of those moments where, you know, it is a struggle in general for everybody going through that kind of environment. And in those kind of situations, yes, I think there is value in still trying, still, you know, doing what you can, even though you might not be feeling great. Others might say one is depressed, but as long as one does not acknowledge that and is still able to whether fulfill daily activities, responsibilities, going to work, caring for family, taking care of oneself, it is quite hard to be honest in actually saying that one is depressed or not. But of course, there are clear defining factors here, whether it be the persistent low mood, whether it be, you know, the loss of appetite or change in it, whether that be increasingly interrupted or disrupted sleep. I guess the same goes, acknowledging that there is a problem, after which it is considering how do I get more involved in, you know, activities again, because one of the criteria, I guess, defining factors of depression is that loss of pleasure in things that one used to enjoy, that loss of motivation, that lethargy that starts to set in. So it is, I would really advise and encourage anybody who felt that they were, you know, becoming depressed or actually going through an episode to actually get out there and start doing more stuff. I know it seems pretty simplistic, but the reality is that when one is depressed, one starts to cut down on the activities, one starts to sleep in longer, one starts to isolate themselves more. You know, all of that avoidance starts coming in, and it's really important, again, because the more you avoid, the more you isolate, the more depressed you're going to be. It becomes a vicious cycle. And what we try to create instead is a virtuous cycle, and that means, okay, still going out, still meeting friends, still going for a jog, still going to the cinema, even though you might find it very tedious, even though you don't get much pleasure from it. But if you can slowly reverse that cycle, slowly one's mood tends to pick up. And when your mood picks up, you have more energy, you're more motivated, you start enjoying it more, you do more, and then and again, it just reverses that cycle.